set in the beautiful St. Thomas. We actually have a really, really big treat right now. You may not be able to see it, but if you look down in that harbor, we actually have about $1 billion worth of yacht. I think it's Mark Geffen with his $400 million yacht is down there, the 23rd biggest in the world. And Jeff Bezos has a sailing yacht worth about $500 million sitting down in that harbor. Pretty freaking cool. It was fun enjoying seeing them last night. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about mental health and dating. This is going to be an interesting episode. Dating has become tougher and tougher in my personal experience and from what I've learned from everywhere. So if you're having trouble dating and your mental health's getting a little stressed out, hopefully we got some tips for you here. Remember, if you want to be a guest on our show, anybody can be a guest. We love it. We believe all 8 billion humans on this planet have something to share, and that it's our duty to share and help other people grow as well. So please sign up. We're also looking for sponsors always. If you want to get your brand out in front of people, let us know. And I do want to kind of go over what the point of the show is again. I have so many people asking me now, a lot of good lucks. Go get them earlier this morning. The point of Millionaires Are Made is, as I've traveled and met thousands of people around the world, is I learned that things that I find simple knowledge are not generally simple across the world. And I think that everyone has different expertises and different knowledge, and there's no way that we all share it. I mean, you can Google anything and get 500 different answers. So I have this show where I like to bring in multiple guests with multiple backgrounds that may have contradicting tips and advice. And hopefully when you spend 30 minutes, you get 4 little pieces of advice to improve your health. And hopefully one of them you take away and you can start growing and we can all become better people. So without further ado, I'm going to give you my piece of advice on dating. I have done it before, surprisingly. My biggest tip, if you're looking to improve your mental health on dating, is to define yourself. A lot of people are chameleons and change who they are in each different relationship. The healthier and the better relationships are the people that know themselves first, and then you can develop your partner. So a little tip. So first off, if you don't have your personal core values written down or you don't focus on them, do that immediately. Think of the 4 or 5 things that you define yourself that are the most important things that you have. Write them down, keep them in your wallet, keep them on a notepad on your phone, and review them. And they will change. That's fine. Maybe it's adventurous. Maybe it's honesty. Maybe it's financial. Maybe you really just care about money. Maybe you just care about athletic and your physical appearance. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's your personal core values. Then you need to think about, okay, what's my perfect partner? And what are their core values? Now, that person that I just made up, my perfect partner, what do they think about their perfect partner, and do I match that person? So if you're trying to get somebody that is, all about fitness and they're in the gym and canoeing and they're adventurous, and you prefer to sit at home and play video games all day, you guys are probably not going to match very well, and you're probably looking for the wrong partner. So first define yourself, and then define the partner that your ideal partner is looking for. Again, if you have any questions, we got comments, comment on this, chat with us, message us, DM us, all sorts of everything. We are very, very available. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring out our first guest. Her name is Chelsea.
Hello.
Chelsea, can you hear and see me just fine? Great. I've got a first question for you.
Okay.
Who are you?
So I am Chelsea. I'm a single mom. I do Overcoming Me mainly on TikTok, and I'm just putting my past out there, putting my story out there. I have anxiety, PTSD, depression, and panic attacks. A lot of my depression and mental health issues come from childhood trauma and drama.
Oh, makes sense. Can you go back to what you said you were on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm mainly
Overcoming
Me on TikTok. I do have it on Facebook,
okay.
But half of my videos are on TikTok.
Very cool. Okay. Well, I got a very important question for you. The entire reason we're here, if I wanted to improve my mental health through dating, what advice would you give me?
We all have to realize that somebody's struggling and they may not even know it. So at some point in someone's life, they have something that's holding them back. They have something that is stopping for who they are or who they want to be. So we all need to...
And that's everyone.
Yes. We have to understand and come to the understanding that with mental health, you have to be okay with the understanding that if one person's getting help for mental health and the other one's not, it may not work out. That's something I've had
That's
to.
very valid.
I've had to come to realize, and that's not always easy to
Okay,
accept.
let me ask you a third question before you
Okay.
go. Let me ask you this, and you can continue that
Okay.
thought. Where on your life journey did you gain this piece of advice? I feel like you're already going down to answer that, so I might as well just ask it.
Well, I've had nothing but bad relationships from the time I was 16 years old. I am 33 years old, a single mom, and I'm in love with my best friend. So it's a struggle every day.
All right. All right. So are you dating your best friend?
No.
Are you adhering to your own advice?
Yes. I have to
Okay.
come to the understanding that in one way or another that I'm better to have him in my life, either as a friend or as more. But it's not on my time, it's not on his time, it's on God's plan. It's God's timing.
Interesting. Do you want to tell us any?
I don't want to say too much because if he's watching, I'll probably get a text message later. Oh. And it may not be a good one.
You don't have to say his name. Name's not important. That's fine.
I just, he's just someone who supports me more than anyone has ever supported me. He pushes me to do the things I never thought I could do. He gets me to be more opening and more outgoing, and he gets me out of my bubble. I'm the shy, lean back type of person who wrote a book 3 years ago, and I'm just now getting it to the point where it needs to find an editor. I wrote a book in a month, but it took me 3 years to even think about putting it out there.
And you credit him and his support for that.
Yes. Because he's always telling me,
Okay.
put it out there. Don't let anybody else tell you that you can't. Do what, you have a future, do it. I know you're going to go somewhere.
I love that. That's great advice.
Yeah. You don't want your past hold you back.
And so it's going to be published in the next couple months?
I have to save up the money.
And it'll be published in the next couple months?
I have to save up money for the editing part.
Okay.
But once I get the editing part done, I will have it published. I actually have 2 adult books completed. I have like 3 or 4 more started.
Cool.
One of them is about abuse and trauma. And with that one there, I want other victims to come up with their past. I want them to be willing to tell their truth, to tell their story, because abuse isn't black and white, and it can happen to you too. It can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter if you have a poor account or a rich account.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter of your skin color. Doesn't matter in your popularity status. Abuse can be you too.
Very true. Very true. Okay. Well, I think that your time is up. Thank you so much. And we'll bring you out in a couple minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, Madhurima, how are you doing?
Hey, Austin, I'm doing really good. Super excited to be here. Now, before we do start, full disclosure, there's a wedding happening literally in my building. So if you hear people cheering on and screaming with joy, I invite anyone watching to scream with joy for them as well. But yes, just wanted to let you know there's going to be a bit of noise and stuff happening. So, yeah.
No problem. That's the beauty of our show is we love anyone can do it anywhere as long as you have some sort of internet connection. But I guess if you're ready, then let's just go ahead and ask you, who are you?
I'm Madhurima. I am a global stress management facilitator who loves to support multi passionate, ambitious dreamers manage their stress and prevent burnout so that they can do all the things they want to do without their own selves holding them back. I'm also on a mission to make stress management fun so that people can inculcate stress management activities in their day to day lives and, well, have fun while they're doing it. So, yeah.
That is very awesome, and it sounds like it's probably a very big market nowadays.
Yep.
Okay. Are you ready for the big question?
Yes. Ask
If
me.
I wanted to improve my mental health through dating, what advice would you give me?
I would echo yours and Chelsea's advice with a bit of my own mix into there, which is to set up healthy boundaries. Here's why: if you are dating with your
Good.
partner and your partner understands you, they will also be very quick to notice some of the signs, some of the patterns of when you're going through a difficult time. And so when they do notice that, setting healthy boundaries that, hey, if I'm going through something like this, feel free to let me know that something's wrong. Do you want support with it? I am very happy and open for you to ask me that question. But also, I would love to know what are some of your boundaries so that I don't cross over, so that I am not stepping in when you don't want me to step in, and I'm stepping in when you do want me to step in. Like some topics are a no no. Some things, when I say I would like space, I specifically make that sentence of I would like space, or I do not want to talk about this particular topic. And if my partner then comes on and tells me that, hey, let's talk about this topic, that's probably going to trigger me. I do not want to have conversations. And so, similarly, my partner might have some topics that, let's make it simple. If maybe shifting to a new house is something that is scary to talk about, and I keep constantly talking about that even after my partner has told me that this is a very stressful topic for me, I do not want to have conversations on this, please let's not talk about it unless it's completely necessary and something is happening that will make us want to have this conversation, let's not talk about it. And every single day I come in with some form of, maybe we should do something like this, maybe we should do something like that, that's only going to trigger them. And so setting healthy boundaries, asking each other what healthy boundaries looks like, and ensuring that we actually stand up on them and ensure that that's not breaking, is something that's really important for mental health. Because I think partners are very intimate with each other and can very quickly pick up on the signs. And so ensuring what is a good topic to talk about and not a good topic to talk about is something that's an important discussion to have.
Well, it sounds like this next question is going to be a fun one. What, where on your life journey did you get this advice? How did you learn about it?
Yes, actually, it's from my personal experience. I remember this was one of the topics that I was actually talking with my brother. I'm not currently dating anyone and anything along those lines, but I was asking him, I was telling him, and he was like, I do not want to talk about this. This is stressful. And I was like, no, but this is important. And he's like, no, 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 I do not want to talk about it. And I very quickly realized I would much rather prefer that same thing to ensure that no one's overstepping those boundaries. So I actually created content around that and spoke about how it's important to set up these healthy boundaries with your families. But I think it also very easily correlates to setting healthy boundaries when you are in a relationship with someone and when you're dating someone.
I mean, I agree with that. Boundaries are pretty important all around the time. We actually have an episode coming up on setting boundaries, so maybe you'll have to come back for that.
I'd love to.
Um, but thank you so much. Your time is up for now. We'll bring you back out in just a little bit, but we got to go talk to Duncan real quick. All right, we're bringing out our last and final guest before we do the round robin. This here is my man Duncan. How you doing, Duncan?
I'm always good, born that way.
Oh, all right. Ready to go. Nice. I like it. Let me ask you a quick question. Who are you?
So my name is Duncan Baskaran Brown, and I work with individuals and organizations to help them go beyond alcohol, whether that's by cutting back or cutting it out entirely. And I do that with coaching, speaking. My third book's coming out at the end of the month. It's called Real Men Quit.
Hell yeah. How many years you got on sobriety?
8.5 and a bit, something like that. I'll start saying 8 3/4 soon. I don't know, 8.5.
Cool. I'm at like 2.5, about to say 2 3/4 here soon. So that's awesome.
Cool.
Real Men Quit. I like it. Go buy his book. Make sure you share us that link so we can blast that. We'll get that book out there. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, let's ask you the most important thing in the world right now. If I wanted to improve my mental health by dating others, what advice would you give me?
So I imagine everybody out there has heard the advice that you should be yourself, that you should like authentic. That is a massively overused word, isn't it? So how do you do that? Well, my idea would be turn up sober and stay sober. Because if you want to show your best self to this other person, don't try hiding it with alcohol. You know, all of that good stuff, your humor, your generosity, your kindness, that gets hidden by alcohol. So stay sober. And I get why people drink in dating situations, because there's a bit of anxiety, isn't there? There's a bit of nervousness. But what you'll find is if you stay sober, that will disappear after 5 to 10 minutes. It always does. We just get so used to drowning it in alcohol that we don't notice that naturally it just disappears. And honestly, if you're with somebody and you're still feeling nervous and anxious after 30 minutes, then this is not a good day. It is not going well. You need to leave. In fact, you should probably run.
I like it. So I would, yeah, I mean, I obviously 2.5 years sober, a lot's changed, right? And everything changes. But the best relationship is the most recent one I've had. You learn a lot more about you. I'm going to throw another book at you. A book that definitely helped me a lot. It's called This Naked Mind, Control Alcohol by a woman named Annie Grace, I believe. Have you heard of that one?
I know Annie.
Oh,
she
go.
She gave me a quote for my last book. I didn't ask her for a testimonial for this one because she's great, but she's not a man. So
real men quit. This woman said so. That's awesome that you know her. What a small world. I love it. Yeah, she does great work in the sober lifestyle.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic, man. It's good to meet you. This is something we're gonna have to bring to one of my other podcasts and talk in depth with, because I get a lot of sober people that reach out to me, or a lot of sober curious people, I guess I would say. Okay, so your advice, let's try to stick it to dating. I know how excited I get about another sober person, but let's go with what on your life journey taught you about this? Where did you learn this advice?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, getting sober was about unpicking a lot of the illusions about alcohol. And definitely when I started drinking, I believed that it helped me to socialize. And in particular, I believed it helped me with dating. And I met my wife before I stopped drinking, but she was a big part of that process because she doesn't really drink. So we ended up doing a lot of stuff sober, and our relationship sort of like developed without alcohol. And that is why I believe our relationship is so much stronger. Before that, every relationship I'd had, it was all about alcohol. You know, we met and we drank and things happened, and you know that just continued the whole way through. And they then just became kind of part of the downward spiral. And actually turning up sober and staying sober and doing things that didn't revolve around alcohol, that was really part of the way that I got sober. That was where it all started, I suppose.
That is amazing. And I'm not even going to ask you about your sober journey, because this is mental health and dating. But I mean, mental health, period. If you want great mental health, cut that booze out of your life, or at least minimize it. But Duncan, that's been awesome to talk to you. We're actually going to go ahead and bring everyone out, start our round robin part of the show. So here is Madhurima and Chelsea.
Hello.
Y'all can hear me great?
Yes.
All right, here comes the fun part. We all get to dissect each other's tips. So we're going to start with Chelsea. Chelsea, do you want to give us a quick 10-second recap of what your tip to improve mental health through dating is?
So it's to remember who you are, staying focused, and remembering that everybody struggles somewhere. So with mental health, it's if you're not with someone who's medicated for their mental health, it may not work out.
Okay. Everybody's struggling through something. Madhurima, what are your thoughts on that tip?
I think that's very real. I think it would be almost ignorant to assume in today's day and age that people are not going through something. We have all been through a massive thing called COVID. We all went through that struggle. our personal struggles were completely different from each other. And so I think it would be ignorant to assume that, oh, no one's going through everything, I'm happy, so the other person's happy as well. So I think I love Chelsea's tip because it's really important is to understand that everyone might be going through something, and people might not be open to share it right from the very first conversation you've had, that, oh, you know what, these are all the things that I go through, be prepared. You will open up slowly and eventually, but giving space for that to happen is important, and that starts from not assuming that, oh yeah, they're fine, they look fine, why bother. So I love Chelsea's trip, it's really cool.
I mean, we can even think of the classic example of Robin Williams, funniest guy you thought was the happiest guy, and then all of a sudden tragedy happens. Some people really hide their hurt, but it is important to remember that everyone has hurt. Everyone has some sort of trauma, and it's also their responsibility to work through it. But some people have difficulties.
Sometimes
Mental
we
health is
don't
a very
even,
difficult task that we'll be struggling with forever.
and sometimes we don't even
Go ahead.
realize that we struggle. Sometimes we don't even realize that we have mental health. We are so wrapped up in what we are going through. I was one of those people. I knew my past. I knew what bothered me. I knew I could have a trigger, but I'm also asthmatic. So an asthmatic attack and a panic attack are copycats. I would go and use my inhaler over and over and over again and still not breathe. But I'd be shaking from so much albuterol in my system.
That's very true. Yeah, and I mean, especially with dating, a lot of dating, kind of what we all just said is you have to take care of yourself first, right? It's hard to go out and date if you're, I'm not going to say broken, but if you're not like you feeling yourself or confident or healthy, if your mental health isn't with it and you have really poor mental and all the lockdowns and repercussions from it, COVID alone, our mental health probably went down 20 optimal level just from that. And so, like you said, we all gotta make sure we're ready to go before we go on this date or the second date or whatever. So yes, that's a really good point. Really good point. Duncan, what do you think about that tip?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with Chelsea. I obviously work with a lot of people who have a lot of struggles, and we tend to start around alcohol, but it never stays there, does it? It often gets into that kind of unprocessed trauma, and there is so much of it in the world. I think you can make a good argument to say that unprocessed trauma is the biggest problem that the world is facing. And I really do believe climate change is a problem. But I think you hit on something very interesting as well, that we need to be in a position where we are able to relate to other people, but to build our own mental resilience, part of that is about relating to other people. So it's finding this very fine balance of getting ourselves to a point so we can reach out to other people, and those people can help us move past that. So yeah, it's all about connection, isn't it? It's about connecting with yourself and connecting with other people, and trying to create that positive spiral.
Yeah.
I know for me personally, when I first started talking to my best friend.
Awesome. And Madhurima, can you give us a quick 10-second recap of your tip?
For sure. So I think my 10-second recap for the tip was to set up healthy boundaries between relationships so that you can ensure that everyone is being supported and no one is unintentionally triggering their partners on this journey of support.
I can agree with that.
All right. Chelsea, what are your thoughts
Well,
on that?
it's like when I first met my friend, after we started talking for a while, I sat down with him and I go, I struggle with communication. I don't know how to have a healthy communication. I don't know if I can communicate at all. When someone wants to talk to me or things aren't going well, I shut down. So we're gonna have to take this step by step, and we're gonna have to take it slow. And if I feel like you're upset or if I feel like you're mad at me, and if you don't talk to me, I will get in my car and I will drive over. So I'm the type of person who has to fix it right then and there. But now that I'm medicated, I don't do that as much. Medication has really helped. So anyone who feels like they just have to jump off the cliff and like I had to do, I had to jump in my car, drive 20, 30 minutes to his house, even for a 5-minute conversation, and then go back home because I was panicked. Medication has saved me so much. And just the communication and him telling me that it's okay to communicate, that I'm not going to get the yelling or the abuse from it, that an actual conversation is possible.
Very cool. Very cool. Duncan, what are your thoughts on Madhurima's tip?
I totally agree. I mean, boundaries are so important, aren't they? And I think, as Chelsea was saying, communication is absolutely at the heart of that. And I mean, I think that does take real courage, though, doesn't it? Because you're sort of like, you want to portray the best of yourself, don't you? And you don't want to sound like you're being a problem. You want to kind of like, you've got this natural kind of disposition to try and please the other person, but actually in the long run being really clear on it and saying, you know what, this makes me uncomfortable, I'm happy to do this, this is who I am, this is where I draw the line. That's what builds long-term healthy relationships. And if you're after something else, well, it's probably not dating, is
it? Hey, Duncan, do you want to give us a quick recap of what your tip was?
Yeah, just show up as your best self, and the way to do that is to stay sober.
Chelsea, thoughts on sobriety? Ooh, we're getting dirty on that one.
I've never had the issue with sobriety, but I've known people who has. And looking back at everything that I've went through abusive relationships, childhood, trauma, drama, at times I wonder how I didn't go to either a cutter or an alcoholic or a druggie, because the things that people put us through with their negativity can tear us down so hard. But the one thing that I think kept me going was I was always in a religious background. So I always had the whole thought of WWJD, what would Jesus do? So I think that's what kept me afloat.
Very cool. That's good. Hey, Madhurima, what are your thoughts on Duncan's tip?
No, I absolutely love it. And I think one of the things that came up for me when Duncan was sharing his tip was, I think a lot of times we choose to do substance abuse mostly because we want to control some aspect of our life. And dating in and of itself is it's an open space. You don't know what's going to happen, but just having that trust and belief in your partner that no matter what happens, we're going to pull through. I do not need to stick to something to ensure that we are able to be present is, I think it's a beautiful thing, and it helps us be more authentic. That, hey, I fear that this might happen, and so I might do something like this. I might go back to alcohol or drugs. But just having those conversations once again is very important, and uh, is something that can help us stay sober and show up as our most authentic self. So I absolutely love that.
Fantastic. All right. My tip, define yourself. Chelsea, thoughts?
Can you repeat your tip again? I'm sorry.
Define yourself.
Well, you have to be honest with who you are. If you aren't honest with yourself, then there's going to be no honesty with your relationship.
That's
insightful. Madhurima, what are your thoughts?
I loved your tip. You essentially stole my tip. That was going to be my my tip that I wanted to share, Austin. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, "This is my tip. I'm prepared," and I was like, mid-conversation, I was like, "That is not my tip anymore." But no, I absolutely love what you shared. I think it's important. I think it's important to understand what your values are, what your partner's values are, and what is negotiable and non-negotiable. That is something that I often love to kind of touch upon, is what is a value that is negotiable and what is a value that is non-negotiable, what is a characteristic that is non-negotiable. And having those conversations, I go back to conversations a lot. Communication is one of the big things for me. And so yeah, I think having those conversations is really important, and I love what you shared. Once again, it was my tip, Austin. You stole my tip.
Sorry.
Love it. This is it. That's a specific reason why we don't go over the tips beforehand, because it'll make you think, but also if you repeated it, it's great to have two people with the same tip and a little different twist. People can relate a little more. So I love to like just go at it. This whole show is just like, as simple as possible. But yeah, I mean, like one of my core values is like adventurous. So it's really hard for me to date someone that doesn't want to travel the world constantly. Like I just moved to the Virgin Islands like 2 weeks ago, and my plan over the next 5 years is to live in all these different, like multiple different islands in the Caribbean. And to find a partner that wants to do that is extremely, extremely hard. So I definitely plan on being single for a little while longer. Because but like you said, it's a non-negotiable core value. Like if you don't want to leave a city and you want to live there for 5 years, it ain't gonna work, because I'm out seeing the world, and that's one of my core values. Duncan, what are your thoughts on that tip?
I love the host goes first. That's the tip I'm really taking away. That
that's I'm the one that pushes go live, okay?
No, but seriously, I totally agree with you. I think self-awareness is absolutely where it's at. I think one of the really underappreciated truths that I've only recently come to truly appreciate is that the way you relate to yourself dictates the way you're going to relate to everybody else.
Or am I still here? All right. Well, we are coming up to the point in our show where we do one of the most fun things we can. So now, to help everyone, they might didn't learn, but now let's take some fucking action. We need to come up with a day take less than 5 minutes and cost $0 that anybody in the world can join us and help improve our mental health through dating. What ideas do you guys have?
Well, one of the things I do is when I post my videos on TikTok, I always try to hashtag your truth, hashtag your story, speak your truth, or shout your truth, because no one can hold back what you are going through. It's your pain, it's your struggles. They may have been a reason into it, and if they want to shut you down, it's because they don't want to hear your truth. You are not mutable. You are someone who needs to share your story, because someone out there is going through what you're going through. Someone out there feels alone, like you felt alone.
That's 100% true. That one might be a little touchy for people that post as a challenge what your struggle is. Let's get any other ideas.
I think one of the things that we can also do is I quite recently in November did a showing up for yourself challenge, and a lot of that kind of focuses on doing one small thing that helps you show up for yourself better. And I think as an individual we are always going to be evolving, and that goes really well when you're dating. Like when you're dating, you have someone who's supporting you and cheering you on in your journey to show up and be more authentic in yourself. So what is one small thing that you can do? I think if we were to connect it to this topic, what is one small thing that you could do to show up in your relationship every single day? It can be anything, it can be different things every single day, but one small
Interesting.
tiny
Okay.
thing, even just as small as, can I wake up every day and kiss you on your head? And that is a great way for me to tell you that I love you. Or can I do small acts of service? Or can I spend 5 minutes asking you what your day looks like? How are you showing up in your relationship?
I'm big into the small things, but
Acts of service. One of the. Go ahead, Duncan. Let's hear yours.
so I'm big into the small things. But what I was thinking was your tip nicely had two bits to it. So you could do 2 minutes on thinking about yourself, and you could do 2 minutes of thinking about your ideal partner. And just to make it really, really easy, you could brush your teeth in the morning thinking about, who you want to be, and you could brush your teeth in the evening thinking about who you want your partner to be.
What I think I'm lagging out again here. So let me ask you this. What if we did something about like so we can all share it and post on Facebook? Maybe we do something about yourself that could be a core value, and then like maybe something about a potential partner that's something you're looking for in a partner, so that you can kind of reiterate that every day. Like if status is I really like my adventurous spirit. I would love my partner to share that or something like that. What are your thoughts on that, guys?
Can I share a photo of me brushing my teeth?
100%. I would love to see you brush your teeth and tell me your tactics. We'll have to have another episode on brushing teeth. I want to learn.
I love that. I think that sounds like a really cool idea to just have that.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other response to that? Do you think that should be a good little challenge?
I love that. Yeah.
All right. So the challenge will be post on Facebook, and we will tag you and get you guys involved. It'll be one thing about like, I guess one positive thing about yourself and your core value, or even a boundary, and then one thing about your potential partner and what you're looking for to date someone. I see nods everywhere. So if we all agree, that is officially our challenge for the week. Awesome. We did everything we were supposed to do. You guys were amazing.
Yay.
Thank you so much for everything. We're going to go ahead and sign off here. Yeah. Cheer. Shout. Woohoo. We're going to go ahead and sign off here. And thanks everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed another episode of